What's happening, guys? So I just got done watching the Channel 5 card, Hughie Fury defending, or coming back, should I say, from his defeat against Kubrat Pulev to fight this guy, Chris Norrad. First of all, man, what I will say is I never really had a problem with the fight. When you're coming off a loss and when you're looking to rebuild, I mean, especially when it's a pretty one-sided loss, because Hughie did take a bit of a beating against Pulev last October. When you're coming off a fight like that, most fighters do need a tune-up fight. Most fighters will take an easy opponent, somebody who they can, just get a few rounds against and, work on a few things and try and improve their confidence. And that's pretty much what this fight was meant to be. So I'm guessing they selected this guy. They saw that he had 17 fights, that he was undefeated, but they probably thought, look, he's a smaller guy, and he hasn't really fought anybody, so it'll be a walkover, basically. And man, that fight was hard to watch, and it was pretty embarrassing to watch, if I'm being honest. Like I said, I don't really have a problem with it because it was a comeback fight. But what I do just want to say, man, and what I do want to ask you guys is, how the fuck did that guy have 17 victories? I that Chris Norrad guy. First of all, he was about 6'2", and he was, I believe, a former cruiserweight. He'd fought most of his career at cruiserweight, yet he was actually heavier than Hughie Fury. So that says all you need to know about his preparations and his desire going into the fight. The guy was fat as fuck. Not only that, no defense whatsoever. The guy didn't even throw a single punch. I'm not even counting him just flailing his arms at thin air in an attempt to look busy. Wow, that was embarrassing, man. So Hughie Fury takes the guy out quickly. Norrad basically quit midway through the second round. He took a shot which I think landed towards the side or the back of the head, and he just went down. And he waited for the referee to count to 9, then he got up, knowing that the ref was going to stop the fight. He was basically looking for a way out. And yeah, it's like as soon as a punch landed, as soon as Hughie Fury showed a bit of aggression and a bit of perseverance, the guy wanted out of there. I mean, the guy had no fighting instincts whatsoever, no survival instincts, no stamina, no chin, no heart, no punching technique, didn't even have his hands up. I'm just flabbergasted, guys, and I'm absolutely shocked that this guy had 17 pro victories. Not only that, the guy had 8 knockouts. I would really like to look at this guy's record. I don't have his record in front of me now, but I really want to know who these guys are that this guy has knocked out, because that is fucking embarrassing. If you have lost to this guy, that is an absolute embarrassment. It really is, man. Yeah, the fight was pretty much a farce. It was a walkover. It was an easy fight. We learned nothing about Hughie Fury. Like I say, he didn't even knock the guy out. The guy just quit. I mean, that punch that Hughie Fury landed was nothing. The guy took it was basically a glancing blow on the side of the head, and the guy just went down on his own and gave up. So yeah, not impressed whatsoever with the performance. It really told us nothing about Hughie. And yeah, that's all there really is to say about the fight. At least he got himself a win. Maybe that'll boost his confidence a little bit. He got himself a stoppage win, for all the good it'll do. But yeah, if they're going to continue to rebuild Hughie Fury and sort of rebrand him to the British fans, they're going to need to get a little bit better opponent than that next time out. I would suggest maybe fighting somebody who is durable, somebody who's known for being able to go the distance, somebody who's got a good chin and good stamina. Maybe even why not try and match Hughie against some domestic rivals in the UK? You've got guys like Joe Joyce, Daniel Dubois, Nathan Gorman, guys like that out there. Maybe try and throw Hughie's name in the mix with some of those guys, because that would be a good way to kind of build him up a little bit with the fans, because I don't think that Hughie Fury's reputation among British boxing fans is very good because of the performances when he's stepped up in class and fought a world-class opponent. Like when he fought Joseph Parker, he completely bottled it and performance was terrible. And when he fought Pulev, he just got systematically broken down and taken to school. So yeah, clearly Hughie Fury is a guy who, he's above fighting complete and utter journeyman like that guy. but he's a little bit below European level, I'd say. And you guys know I've been following my channel. I've never really been a big fan of Hughie Fury. I've never really liked his fighting style. You know, he's one of these guys who, when he gets in the ring, it's all minimal effort. You know, when he's got an opponent in front of him who's a threat to him, you know, who's any level of threat, he will just be as minimalistic as possible. You know, he'll be on the back foot looking to score points, and he'll be looking to hold and spoil. And his fights are generally just real snooze fests. But in this fight, because the opponent he was fighting didn't provide any threat, he was very aggressive. Like, Hughie was throwing a lot of punches in there. And I would like to see Hughie show that kind of aggression and that kind of, fighting spirit against somebody who can hit back. You know, I'd like to see him do that against somebody like a Nathan Gorman or a Daniel Dubois, you know, somebody who's a similar sort of level to him. So, yeah, I don't really know what else to say about the fight. As for the card itself, it was a pretty poor card, if I'm being honest. There was one fight that that I didn't know about going into, but I was kind of intrigued by while I was watching it. It was a 6-rounder early on in the card. Mick Hennessy's son, Michael Hennessy, who was making his pro debut. He's 19 years old, and he was fighting this little midget Polish guy who was like half his size, and the guy had, I think, like 25 losses or something like that. So the guy was a complete journeyman. He'd only won like 7 fights, and I think he only had like 1 knockout. So that was supposed to be a walkover, and it turned out to be a pretty good fight. It turned out to be quite competitive, quite close. I don't know what the commentators were looking at. I actually had the fight a draw. I thought it was a very close fight. But yeah, Richie Woodall, obviously, and in the commentary team were acting as if Hennessy was winning every round. And, it kind of reminded me of when of another Hughie Fury undercard back when he fought Sam Sexton. And I remember that guy, Peter McDonough, was fighting Peter Kramer, and the fight was very close and very competitive, and it ended up being a draw. Yet Richie Woodall in the commentary team was trying to act as if it was one-sided, and was trying to act as if McDonough won every round. And that's what Richie Woodall does, man. I can't stand Richie Woodall as a commentator. Like, his job as a commentator is basically to try and convince the viewer that the house fighter is dominating. And obviously with Hennessy being the promoter's son, he was just, Richie Woodall was so up his ass, man. It was disgusting. It was ridiculous commentary, and the commentary was like that the whole card. I mean, it was ridiculous. But it wasn't a great card. There was an okay little scrap on the on the undercard. It was I forget the guy's name, but the guy who Mick Hennessy is really trying to push right now. It's that guy who was over in Mexico for a few years. His name escapes me at the moment, but yeah, he was on the undercard and he looked pretty good. But the opponent was, the opponent had a broken hand, which kind of ruined the fight, and you could tell from early on in the fight that the hand was an issue. So yeah, that kind of made that fight less competitive than I think it would have been otherwise. But yeah, it wasn't a great card, but it was watchable. I mean, it was on free TV, so I can't really complain. But yeah, I wasn't impressed with this Chris Norrad guy. I mean, what a fucking joke, man. I mean, I reckon I could beat that guy. I'm not even kidding. I reckon there's probably a good chunk of the people watching this video could probably beat that guy in a boxing ring. I have no idea how some of these guys from overseas are able to get licenses to fight. And the fact that guy, like I said before, like the fact that he had 17 victories and 8 of them by knockout and was undefeated, that is shocking, and that really does say a lot about the state of heavyweight boxing in 2019. It really does, man. That guy who couldn't even throw a punch. He was like this little fat, chubby, slow, goofy ass looking. He was like they selected somebody from the audience, some fat guy with a kebab in the audience, and said, "Hey, you get in the ring and fight." And the guy just froze up. That was what it was like. I'm not even kidding. If you'd have seen that fight for the first time, you would have thought that guy was like 0-2 or something like that. I mean, that guy was 17-0 with 8 knockouts. Shocking. Absolutely beyond belief. But yeah, yeah, let me know what you guys think. Hughie Fury wins by second round. Opponent quitting. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching, and God bless.